Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. Data centers continue to seek homes in our state, and with them, they seem to be bringing controversy. Tarboro leaders are considering whether to allow one to be built. Plans are also taking shape to add one in Apex. In both cases, neighbors have concerns. WRAL's Destinee Patterson talked to people who live near the site in Tarboro on Monday and joins me by phone. Destinee, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start here. What is a data center?
Yeah, I mean, a data center is exactly what it sounds like. It's a facility that is going to store data, essentially. And it's really growing in popularity and prevalence as we're seeing this growth in artificial intelligence.
Okay, and so who is the company that's behind this one that is planned in Tarboro, and what do they plan to build?
So this is a North Carolina-based company. It's called Energy Storage Solutions, LLC. And I talked to the president of that company. He tells me that that center is going to be on more than 50 acres of land in Tarboro, and it'll end up costing $6.4 billion. Eventually down the line, he says that this is their way of getting into an industry that is already booming. As I mentioned, AI has really grown a lot, and we're starting to see these data centers more and more often. In his words, he says this is quote unquote the future of America, and he's hoping that putting a facility like this in Edgecombe County will actually keep young professionals in the area as opposed to venturing out to other places.
So with all that said, he's making the case that this is really good for the economy of our state and for Tarboro. Why are the people who live there so concerned about it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like you said, he's laid out all of these economic benefits of bringing in this data center. But realistically, a lot of the people there just aren't buying it. They tell me that they have a lot of environmental concerns, specifically when it comes to the noise that it could bring to the area, how it could impact air quality, and the infrastructure for the demand for water usage. Across the country, people have been talking about how these data centers do tend to use up a lot of water. And that is one of the main concerns that I heard from several residents about, when this company comes in, how is that going to impact the demand on our water system? And is that going to put a strain on our water system? So that seems to be one of the main concerns, along with some of the environmental concerns that people mentioned to me. There was also this feeling of not being included in the process. Multiple people that I talked to said that they just felt like they weren't given enough time or enough opportunity to learn about this project before it went in front of town leadership for them to make a decision. So I think it's a combination of having concerns for the infrastructure, but also people wanting to feel informed about this big business venture that could potentially be just outside of their backyards. Of course, the residential piece of this is also important. The residential piece of this is also important. The site is located just behind this family's property that have been there for, they told me, hundreds of years. And so they are concerned about the proximity of this facility versus where they live. And another person that I talked to said that they also felt, something like this shouldn't be in the middle of a really residential area when there are pockets of Tarboro and the county that have a lot more land available that isn't surrounded by a bunch of homes.
Okay, let's take a quick break right there, and we're going to be right back. Destinee, before the break, you were explaining, what a data center is, the company that's behind this one planned in Tarboro, and the concerns that people have. A lot of those you said were environmental concerns, primarily water concerns. So what does the company say in response to that, and what do we know about their possible environmental impact?
Of course, the company has a lot of positives to say about the economic impact and what this could bring to the town and the county. But a lot of the people that I talk to just aren't buying it. Um, the company says that they're expecting to use 500,000 gallons of water on the center every single day. And what's interesting about this is the town on their website, it says that they have 2 million extra gallons for new and expanding industries. And it says it that plainly on the website. So the company president tells me that he does feel that they are being sensitive to what the environmental impacts could be. He also mentioned that they are going to have to meet and follow some pretty rigorous state and federal regulations. And he says that they have every intention, again, of being conscious of what this data center could do to the environment there and how it could impact the community.
Right. And given all of that, how long has this been in the works from the town side?
Well, we know that the town has been involved for at least a couple of months. Just last month in August, the town met and they had this hearing, an evidentiary hearing, about whether to give a special use permit to this project in order for them to move forward. And that went on for hours. So ultimately, the town decided to postpone, and that caused them to push that final vote out longer than they were expecting. But one of the people that I talked to said that they were actually glad that it got postponed because it gave them more time to do research. And town board members were also quoted saying that they needed more time to do more research and get up to speed to make sure that they were making an educated vote on bringing this to the town.
Right. And at the time that you and I are talking, Destinee, it's about close to 6:30 here. Before on Monday, that meeting is set to get started around 7. So we're going to have to keep an eye on what comes out of it. But, you know, from whatever comes out of that meeting, what are the next steps in this process?
So, as I mentioned, in terms of what the site is going to look like, we're talking 50 plus acres of land in Tarboro. And the president told me that it's going to take about 3 to 5 years for that project to be 100% completed. And they're going to do it in phases. They have a plan of constructing it over 8 phases, again, over the course of 3 to 5 years. So if it does get passed, then it's not like it would pop up tomorrow. In terms of the economic impact, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but specifically, the president of the company said that they are expecting 500 jobs or more to come out of this project, and they say that they expect it to be about $11 million in tax revenue to the town. And they also have plans to erect 2 other data centers in Edgecombe County, and they're actively working on getting those built and approved as well. One of them on Powell Road in Edgecombe County and the other in Kingsborough. So it doesn't seem like this is slowing down at all.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like, just like we're seeing across the country, this is something that we're going to continue to see happen and figure out what the impacts are from there. Well, thank you so much, Destinee. We really appreciate your reporting on this. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. That's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. You can sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.